Welcome to IAS at Speed of Light, and now this is the part 3 of Indian art and culture. And in this part 3, we are going to study about the Indian classical music and Indian musical instruments. This whole part we are going to study in 3 sessions, or we divide in 3 sessions. The first, it is going to be the fundamentals of Indian music, the basic elements which are associated with Indian music, or the anatomy of Indian music. The second part, it will be the various forms of singings which are present in the subcontinent. And the third, it will be the related musical instruments which we use in Indian music. Now this section, or for that matter any section in general studies, we have to study according to the requirements of UPSC, according to the standard of UPSC. For example, when we are studying Indian music, that it is not going to happen. Then when you will go for UPSC interview, they will make you listen to a particular song, and they will ask whether it is a Thumri, or it is a Tarana, or it is a Drupad. So they're not expecting us to be music experts, but yes, as I've said in the last sessions also, we need to understand the fundamentals of these things, their daily usage, the basic important personalities related with these fields. So those things, the Indian culture is very important, our value for the Indian culture is very important. So keeping that in the mind, now we are going to move further into the session. The first, let us trace the history of Indian music. It can be traced to the Vedic times, and the earliest raga is speculated to be the Sam raga. So we have seen that Sam raga, all Veds, particularly Sam Ved, we trace the origin of Indian music from Sam Ved. So, and Vedic age was from 1500 to 1600 BC. So 1500 BC, if you say, so it's almost 3005 years, 500 years old tradition of music in India. The first reference made by Panini to 500 BC. Bharat Muni Natya Shastra, the same book has come up again, what we have studied in the Indian dances, which contains many chapters on music, elaborated the octave and divided into 22 keys. This octave and the 22 keys we are going to study further in the fundamentals of Indian music. Then another important historical work is Brihadeshi by Matanga, 9th AD, and Sangeet Makaranda by Narada. So few books, ancient books about the music and their authors. Now we come to the basic elements of Indian music, and focus now. There are some 4-5 terms which we should be knowing to understand the various forms of singing in Indian classical music. First thing is something known as swar. This swar is a sound that has some meaning, and it possesses a individual or a distinct identity. Sound that has meaning. Sound that has meaning. Simple. So swar is a sound that has some meaning, and it possesses a distinct identity. So that is swar. Now the basic swar is Shahadaj, from which we get Sa. Okay, basic swar is Shahadaj, from which we get Sa. Now the meaning of Shahadaj, it is 6. So what it means is this Sa, the basic swar, it is again related to 6 other swars, right? So from this Sa, the basic swar, we get 6 other swars, which are Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, and again Sa, returning to the basic swar but a higher pitch, higher note. So these basic swar, 1 plus 6, it becomes 7, 7th swar, and with this again returning back to Sa, it becomes 8. So this is known as saptak. Saptak. And this becomes an octave. I think I made it clear. Very simple basic swar is Sahadaj, which is Sa, and then from Sa it is dependent on 6 other swars, Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, and then again Sa. So the first 7 becomes Saptak, and then it is octave, with again coming to the basic swar. Now, one very fundamental difference between the Indian music, Indian classical music and Western music is, these each swar, okay, this is a swar, Sa, Re is one swar, Ga is one swar, Ma is one swar. So these all swars in Western music, they have a fixed pitch. Okay, each swar has a fixed pitch. So Western music, you can write difference here, you can make a note. So Western music, they have a fixed swar, fixed pitch of each swar, while in Indian classical music, it depends on the composer. Like suppose if he is starting the pitch of first basic swar at a higher note, Sa, then the related notes, the consecutive notes will be on the higher note. So it is left to the composer which note he want to choose for the basic swar, and then accordingly other 6 swars will also be on the higher note or the lower note, whatever music composer wants. So this is about the swars. Then comes another concept, which is Shruti. Shruti we define as microtone that creates swar. Okay, so these all swars what we were studying, it is created from the Shrutis. Okay, so that creates a swar by adhering to that particular pitch of the swar. In one octave, there are 22 Shrutis. Okay, so till now it is easy. Shrutis, from Shrutis we get swar, Shahzad, basic swar, then Saptak, then octave. Okay. Another term now here is the Tal, which means beat, or which also means lay. Tal is that attribute of the Indian music, of for that matter any music, which depicts the rhythmic pattern. Depicts the rhythmic pattern, which depicts the rhythm in the music or the song. The most commonly used tal is Teen Tal, which means 16 beats. Okay. Now we come to a very important term, which is raga, which means melody. Now, the meaning of raga or melody is simply delightfulness. If some music is delightful, if some music is good to hear, okay, so that becomes raga. So, what it means to say is, suppose if I am creating some my own music using some table and chair by beating table, okay, so that may be a music, but that is not good to hear, that is not melodious, that is not delightful to hear. So raga is essentially that musical composition using different swars, okay, which is delightful, which is melodious to hear. Okay, this is the most simplest definition of raga. So delightfulness, any song which is melodious, any musical composition. And how this musical composition will be made? Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha, Ni, Sa. Okay, these were the our octave. And if we write something like sa, re, re, ga, ga, ma, ma, pa, dha, ni, ni. Okay, so this becomes 12 regional tones, and it is like, suppose if you are given 12 colors, 12 colors you have with you, starting from pink, you have blue, you have red, you have yellow, you have orange, you have brown. So like this you have 12 colors. Now you want to do a painting out of that. So you know that by selecting brown, red, orange and bagony, it is, you can paint a very good painting. Okay, your painting will really look good if you will match all these colors in your painting. Same way, you know, like if you're going to mix pink with yellow with brown, your painting may not look so good. So same is the case with swar and rags also. Using these 12 swars, 12 regional tones, a music composer can create many ragas. Okay, so which music composer will hear good to the people. Okay, so this is raga, very important concept, and it is a fundamental of Indian music. Indian music revolves around this raga or melody thing, while the Western music, it revolves around harmony of swars. So so far so good. We started from Shrutis, then from Shrutis we got swar, from swars we got tal, we got saptak, we got octave, and then finally we got a raga, which is a very melodious form of musical composition. Now there are 6 basic ragas, 6 basic ragas, and you note it down. Bhairav, Mulkans, Hindol, Deepak, Shri Raga, and Megh Raga. Okay, so these are the 6 basic ragas from which other ragas are being derived. Now if we see carefully, our the whole day we divide in 6 different parts. Our whole year we define, as per Hindus, we define 6 different seasons. Okay, so this each rag is associated with a different season. Each rag is associated with a different mood. Okay, so these are the 6 basic ragas, and like Bhairav, we sing at 4 to 8 a.m. in the morning. Mulkans, we sing at 8 to 12 a.m. in the morning. Hindol, then again 4 to 12, 12 to 4, then 4 to 8, Deepak Rag, then Shri Rag, 8 to 12. Similarly, Megh, it is 12 to 4. Now how you will remember is, suppose Bhairav, morning 4 to 8, what we do? We go for exercise. Okay, good people go for exercise. So Bhairav, we relate it to the timing of 4 to 8 in the morning. Bhairav, we already have an image. Bhairav was God. Okay, so Bhairav, we went for jogging and we found Bhairav. Similarly, 8 to 12 we go to college, normally students. Hindol, 12 to 4, it is movie time. Okay, maybe you're going 12 to 3 some movie, Hindol. So Hindol becomes Sidol. So that is how you're going to link it with the day of the time. You can Okay. And this is known as the time theory of ragas. Time theory of ragas. And it is the Hindustani music, the Hindustani North Indian classical music. Uh, in India, broadly, we have two type of singing, form of singings. First one is the Hindustani North Indian music, and second is the Carnatic South Indian classical music, which is the present day modern states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. It is sung there, the Carnatic classical music. Both of these, Hindustani classical music and Carnatic classical music, they have their generic from the Vedic period only, but particularly during the 12th and 13th century, during the time of Mughal or the Delhi Sultanate influence in India, this Persian influence, the Persian is the modern day Iran, its influence into the Indian music brought this differentiation in the type of singing as Hindustani classical music of North India and the Carnatic classical music of South India. Right, so time theory of raga, this is particularly profounded in the Hindustani classical music of North India. Hindustani classical music of North India. And not particularly in the theory in the Carnatic classical music of South India. There is one more concept with raga. One raga is one god, okay, one demigod in Indian culture. So each raga is married with 5 raginis, okay, the lucky people. So one raga married with 5 raginis. So in total you will have 30 raginis, because 6 basic ragas plus you have 6 ragas. So in total in Hindu mythology we say it is 30 rag and ragini. And in last class what we have studied in Indian paintings as well, the paintings of Ragmala. Okay, so those paintings of Ragmala depicting all the moods related with the particular rags, the different seasons of the year. So 36 rag and ragnis. Some another terms. First is the alap, which is the first movement of rag, the initial part of the song when singer starts the first part. The second is jor. It brings raga to the final stage. Raga to final stage. Then you have jhala, which is the final movement and the climax, and it is played with a very fast action of the plectrum. Very fast final movement, or we can also call as climax. Okay, so these are the important concepts or the basic elements, fundamentals of Indian music which we should keep in mind to understand the different forms of singings in classical music. So let us now go to the second part of this lecture, which is the styles of music. First one is the Hindustani music. As we have told, there are two subdivisions in India for the classical dance, for the classical music. The first one is the North Indian Hindustani music, which got influenced by the Persian and Islamic influence during the 12th and the 13th and the 14th century, and then the South Indian Carnatic music. Okay, so let's start with the Hindustani music, and under Hindustani music there are 10 main forms or style of singings. Fine. So first one is the most important, and which is Drupad. This is the oldest and the grandest form of Hindustani vocal music, originated from earlier forms like Dhruvapada, which are very ancient form of music, and this Drupad became a popular crowd singing derived from this Dhruvapada of Vedic and a very ancient time. This is a spiritual and devotional form of singing. Obviously, if something we are getting from the Vedic time, it has to be devotional and spiritual in nature. It reached its glory during the reign of Akbar. So now this is an important point. It's not originated during the reign of Akbar. We are having this particular form of singing right from the Vedic period, but it got popularized, it got the patronage, the royal patronage during the reign of Akbar the Mughals. Dhupads have four parts or the stanzas. Four school of singing: Tagarbani, Khandarbani, Noharbani, Goharbani, and out of this you have to remember Tagarbani group, which is the most prominent school of Dhupad singing these days. Right. So Dhupad, one question was asked directly in 2012. 2012, the question was asked like. With reference to the Dhupad, which of the following are correct? The first option was this originated and developed during the Mughal and the Rajput period. So the first point itself was very wrong. Okay. So after that, the correct options were 2 and 3. The second option was that Dhupad is essentially a devotional and a spiritual type of music. Yes, that we have heard, got from the Vedic period. So it is a devotional and a spiritual type of music. And third point was Drupad Alap uses Sanskrit syllables from mantras. Okay, so this was also true. So if you could have find out the first one, which is wrong, that it originated and developed during the Mughal and the Rajput period, so you could have marked the right answer. 2012, this question was asked on Drupad. Now second form of singing, it is Khayal. Khayal is a Hindi word, like what we in normal day-to-day life say, kis khayal mein khoye ho, okay, what you are thinking. So it means an imagination or an thought. Khayal literally means imagination or thought. It is a romantic style of singing. So in contrast with the Drupad, which was a devotional and a spiritual form of singing, Khayal is a romantic style of singing. And why? Because originated as a popular form of singing during the 18th century. So a very new addition to the Indian classical music. So that is how it is different from the Dhupad. And this is a very important question for me as well, the differences between the Khayal and the Dhupad form of singing. So originated as a popular form of singing during 18th century. Important features are dance, which are the running glides over the notes. There are 6 main gharanas. Gwalior Gharana is the most popular. Another difference we can note down here for the Khayal and Dhupad, it is the Khayal uses single-sided drum, which is like tabla. Tabla has only single-sided drum. While for the Dhupad, this is for Khayal. While for Dhupad, we have two-sided, like mridangam, okay? Double-sided drums are used. Double-sided drums for Dhupad. Gwalior Gharana, another known as the mother of all other gharanas of Khayal singing. Let's go to the third type of the singings. We saw there are 10 different forms of singing in Hindustani classical music. Out of them, 3 are major and 7 are minor. So the third major one is Thumri. It is originated in the eastern parts of UP, mainly Lucknow and Benaras, which is again a very new addition to the Indian classical music, developed by the musician Sadiq Ali Shah. So one name which you can remember, Sadiq Ali Shah. It is same as Khayal. It is an erotic and a romantic style of singing, composed in lighter ragas, in contrast to the Dhupads, which are much heavier ragas, and lyrics are generally written in Braj Bhasha, which is the local bhasha of the eastern UP, or Urdu. So these things you need to remember about Thumri. Comes the fourth form of singing, which is Dadra. It is close to Thumri. The difference is they have more than one antras. Okay. The fifth part is Dhamad Hori. Hori, it is holy. Compositions are similar to Dhupad in this Dhamad Holi and chiefly associated with festival Holi, as the name suggests. The sixth form of singing is Tapa, it is important to remember, which is the folk songs of camel riders, love and passion songs written in Punjabi, but interestingly, it is not sung in Punjab. The lyrics are in Punjabi, but it is not sung in Punjab. Ram Sagar, which is the different parts of musical passages in different ragas. So different parts will have different ragas associated with that. Tarana is again an important form of singing, which is much similar to the Tilana of the Carnatic music, usually sung in fast tempo. Tarana. Chaturang, Chatu means four and Rang means color. So composition of song in 4 parts. This is known as Chaturang. Then 10th one, the most popular these days, Ghazal, poetic form rather than musical form. Okay, so it is more of a poetic form rather than focusing on the musical aspects of it. It originated in Persia, like Iran, began in north part of India with Amir Khusro. Amir Khusro is credited with the upbringing of Ghazal in the Indian subcontinent. With Ghazal, tabla and sitar also he invented in India. Let's go to the second type of music in India, which is the Carnatic music. After Hindustani music, it's Carnatic music. So 3 outstanding composers of 18th century, also known as the Trinity of the Carnatic music. Very important 3 names. Trinity of Carnatic music: Tyagraj, Swami Shastri and Dikshitar. So Tyagraj, Swami Shastri and Dikshitar, and these 3 people, these Trinity, okay, it is responsible for the Carnatic music of the level like what we see today, the Carnatic music. It is because of these 3 gentlemen, Tyagraj, Swami Shastri and Dikshitar. Some similarities between the Carnatic and the Hindustani music. First one is basic elements remain same. So basic elements like shrutis, swars, rags, these all remain same. But Carnatic music has much more ragas. Than Hindustani music. So Carnatic music has much more ragas than Hindustani music. This question has already been asked once in mains in UPSC, the differences between the Carnatic and the Hindustani music. Second is both are having great associations with religion. So we have seen initially, before the influence of the Persian music on India, these both have their genesis in the Vedic period. So both are having great association with religion. Carnatic is one of the 2 main subgenres of the Indian classical music that evolved from ancient Hindu traditions. The other subgenre being Hindustani music, which emerged as a distinct form due to the Persian and Islamic influence in North India. Right. So this thing we have already discussed. The central notion in both of these systems is that of a melodic mode or raga which is sung to a rhythmic cycle or tal. So this thing we have also seen. They're both based on the central theme is the rag or the melody part. Now let us see some of the differences between the Hindustani and the Persian, Hindustani and the Carnatic music. Hindustani music have the influence of Islamic and the Persian, as we have discussed. Moreover, in Carnatic style, the performer gives equal importance to Swar and Shabd. So Swar is music and Shabd is something which you speak. While Hindustani styles give precedence to Swar. So here, the musician gives precedence to Swar, which is music, then the Shabd. Carnatic style follows purity of swars as the principal determining element of composition of ragas. Okay, in compositions of ragas. So purity of swars is important in Carnatic music. While Hindustani style, on the other hand, practices the merger of ragas as a central element in the compositions. So here you have merger of ragas. So Carnatic style, you have purity of swars, while in Hindustani style it is the merger of ragas. Another noticeable difference is the purity of shrutis in Carnatic style. So purity in of Shrutis. So everything seems pure in Carnatic music. So purity of Shrutis in Carnatic, unlike the North Indian music where Shrutis tend to merge into each other at the time of rendering a rag. Hindustani style began to strictly observe a time theory of ragas. We have already seen the time theory of ragas, the different seasons of the year, the different time of the day it is associated with a particular raga, and the related ragas with a specific mood and feeling, while the same is not practiced in the Carnatic music. In Hindustani style, the main forms of music are Dhupat, Khayal, Thumri, Tarana, etc. We have seen all these things. And Carnatic style is dominated by Kriti, Rangam, Thangam, Pallavi, important term to remember, and Tilana, derived from Tarana. The forms of singings in Carnatic music. Let us go now to the third part of the lecture, which is the Indian musical instruments. There are four different musical instruments, and they are divided as follows. The first one is the stringed instruments, or in Hindi they are known as the Tata or Tantu Vadya, or the English name is chordophones. So stringed instruments, the general name, the Hindi name Tata or Tantu Vadya, the English name the chordophones. The second are the percussion or the drum instruments. In Hindi we call as Avanaddha Vadya, or the technical term in English it becomes membranophones. The third are the bells or gongs or sibyls, which in Hindi we call as Ghana Vadya, and the technical English name is ideophones. The fourth is wind instruments. In Hindi we call as Shushira Vadya, and the English technical name is aerophones. Let's go one by one to each one of them. The first one was the Tata Vadya, or the stringed instruments. Now these stringed instruments we divide into two categories. The first one are the plugged instruments, and second are the bowed instrument. So difference is very clear. Those stringed instruments which we produce sound by the fingers. Like this you can see this instrument he's playing with the help of the fingers. So these are the plugged instruments. And second, in this figure, like this particular lady, seems like a lady playing this violin using a bow. So sound by drawing a bow across the strings. So these are the bowed instruments. So two types of string instruments, one which we play, which we produce sound by using the fingers, like example Veena and Sitar, and then by bowing a sound across the strings like Sarangi and violin. So after this lecture, you should be able to identify next time which instrument a particular person is playing. At least this level you should reach, and the important person associated with that instrument. So let's start with the different stringed instrument, or the Tata or Tantu Vadya. The first one is Sitar. Sitar derived its name from the Persian word sehetar, where si is 6 and tar is strings. So 6 strings. The meaning of sitar is 6 strings. It is a plugged instrument. So what it means to say is it is played with the help of fingers and not with any bow or any horn. Right? So plugged instrument played with fingers. Highlight is Jugalbandi with Sarod. Very important point to remember. Last time in dances we saw the Jugalbandi of Kathak, and in Kathak with tabla and the dancer, ankle bells. The sound of ankle bells the dancer used to control, or it's a Jugalbandi between the tabla player and the Kathak dancer. Here we see the Jugalbandi of Sitar with Sarod. Origin is traced from ancient Veena. Amekoso is said to have evolved sitar as in its present form. So Amekoso already we have seen associated with ghazal, now associating with sitar, the formation of evolution of sitar. Pandit Ravi Shankar is a very famous name associated with sitar. So Pandit Ravi Shankar is very famous with sitar. So this two ladies, this is sitar, okay, and this is Sarod. This is Sarod, and this is Sitar. So if you can now relate the first picture what we saw when we were discussing the plugged and the board, is this gentleman, he's playing sitar. Okay, and this is violin, which is a board instrument. Now coming to the second string instrument, which is sarod, and it is a fretless instrument. Another technical name here, fretless instrument with 8 to 10 main playing strings and 11 to 16 sympathetic strings. Now what these frets are, if you can see this fingerboard, you have these metal strips which are inserted into the fingerboard, and these strings, metallic strings, they along with the playing strings, they produce different vibrations of the sound. So if you see sarod, these fret are not there, so it is a fretless instrument, evolved from 3 other instruments like Seni Rabab, Shoshwi Nagar and Veena. These all are the old instruments. Amjad Ali Khan is a very important name associated with sarod. So this is Rabab, this is Shoshwi, and this is Veena. This is Amjad Ali Khan with sarod. You might have seen his face so many times in the television. So now this particular gentleman plays sarod, which is a fretless instrument. Coming to the third instrument, the string instrument, which is Santoor. This instrument, Santoor, is same as a Western instrument, dulcimer. So this is dulcimer, in which these are the strings attached, and these are played using some kind of horn. Another important name, Vedic Sata Tantvi Veena, which means 100 strings Veena. So there is a difference of 100 strings Veena in Ved. So that Vedic Sata Tantvi Veena is known as the precursor of present day Santoor. So this is Santoor, played with the help of some bows or horns, and Shiv Kumar Sharma. So this person is Shiv Kumar Sharma. He's famous for Santoor. Okay, so the face you should remember for the Shiv Kumar Sharma. Next time if you see anyone playing any instrument, so you should be able to identify whether it is sitar, whether it is sarod, whether it is Santoor. Another instrument now, it is Sarangi. Sarangi is Sarangi, which means 100 colors. So it means 100 colors. It has 4 main strings and up to 40 resonant strings, and played with a bow. So it is a bowed instrument. Similarly, Santoor, if somebody is going to ask you whether it is a plugged instrument or it is a bowed instrument, definitely that particular gentleman, he is not playing it with the fingers. It is something which he is having, and he is beating that on the strings, that is producing the sound. So it is a bowed instrument. Coming to the next and the fifth instrument, string instrument, which is Veena. It is the most ancient and the respected Indian instrument. So most ancient and respected instrument of goddess Saraswati. Important term to thing to remember. The instrument associated with goddess Saraswati, it is Veena, and it was also used during Ashwamedh Yagya. It has 24 frets on a hollow wooden fingerboard, which is attached to 2 gourds. So what we have studied in Sarod, which was the fretless, now this Veena has 24 frets, okay, which are attached to 2 gourds. So it is easy to identify, or to, if you will see Veena next time in the TV, it will be easy for you to identify. It has 2 different gourds. It looks a quite bigger one. Here goddess Saraswati, you can see this instrument is being plugged with fingers, so it is a plugged instrument. The sixth instrument is the violin, which is brought to India in 18th century by Europeans. So very new addition in the class of Indian classical musical instruments. Now it is an integral part of both Hindustani and the Carnatic classical musics. The seventh one is very important. It is the Gottuvadyam. It looks like Veena, okay, same Veena. If you see, they have 2 gourds here. But this is a fretless instrument with 21 strings. So fretless instrument, there are no metal strips which are inserted in the fingerboards. So personality which is associated with Gottuvadyam, it is Ravi Kiran, this particular gentleman, famous for Gottuvadyam. Then comes Tanpura, which is a very very important instrument for Hindu culture. It is a 4 to 5 string instrument, and the instrument associated with Narada. So if a question will be asked, which instrument is associated with God or the Narada Muni, it is Tanpura. The ninth one is Dilruba or Eshraj. Now, Dilruba is a North Indian name, and Eshraj is more particularly famous in Bengal and the east and the southern regions. It is widely bowed instrument, okay, which is used in India. So widely used. It is used very commonly everywhere. So Eshraj was the famous instrument of Rabindranath Tagore. So Rabindranath Tagore, the famous dance was Manipuri. And now the famous instrument is Eshraj. So this particular young boy playing Eshraj with the help of a bow. So it is a bowed instrument. Now coming to the second category of instruments, which is Avanaddha instruments or drums. The first category of this Avanaddha instruments or drums, it is Urdhvakas drums, which are placed vertically before the player. So here you can see tabla, it is placed vertically from the ground, and some will be placed horizontally. So the vertically placed are known as Urdhvakas drums. The first one is tabla. Tabla is a term used for two drums. The right drum is known as tabla, which is the high pitched drum. So this is the right drum, and this is known as tabla, which is the high pitched drum. While the left drum, which is the bigger one, okay, this is the bigger one, this is the shorter one, this is known as bayan or dagga. Okay. It accompanies vocal forms like Khayal and Ghazal. We have already seen Khayal, the difference between the Khayal and the Drupad, it was like Khayal is having a single-sided drum. So tabla is a single-sided drum. And Ghazal and instruments like Sitar and Sarod. The main accompany during Kathak. We have already seen the Jugalbandi between the Kathak dancer and the tabla player. Amir Khusro is the candidate of modern tabla, another Amir Khusro. So associated with Ghazal, associated with Sitar, and now with tabla. Allah Rakha, Zakir Hussain, who is the son of Allah Rakha, and daughter Aman Mistry. So this lady is Aman Mistry, the first woman tabla maestro, and this figure, it is Zakir Hussain, a very known face. The second category of drums are the Ankya, which are placed horizontally before the player. So you can see this is the ground and they are placed horizontally. The first one out of them is Mridangam, which is the most commonly used drum in South Indian classical music. So Mridangam, very important name. When we were studying the dances, we were saying like Mridangam player will be there. So he is a typical Mridangam player who plays this drum, which is horizontally placed here. So Mridangam in South India. Same as Mridangam in North India, we have Pakvaj, a very important instrument for North India. This is the oldest percussion instrument, same as Mridangam but used in North. Right side is known as Madi and left side is known as Nar. So Madi, say we get Mada, which is a female gender, and Nar, it is the male gender. How you will remember? Right side is Mada. Yes, female, they are always right. So right side is Mada, left side is Nar. It is termed as the king of drums, very important. Pakvaj. Coming to the third category of instruments, which are the Shushira Vadya or the wind instruments. The first out of them is Shehnai. It is a double reeded wind instrument. So reeded, again a technical term here, what it means. There are two types of wind instruments. First is the fluid, which has the hollow tube, okay, and second are the reed instruments, in which what happens, more than one reeds are inserted in the hollow tube, okay, which vibrates when the wind blows through it and produces different sounds. So Shehnai is a double-reeded wind instrument. It tubes widens toward the lower end. Here you can see it is getting wider. Shehnai has 7 to 9 holes, and it is also known as the Mangal Vadya, which the instrument which is normally sung in all auspicious occasions. And this gentleman we already know, Bismillah Khan, associated with Shehnai. Another instrument here with percussion we left is the pung. If you remember the pung, pungi, pungucholam, Manipuri dance. So it is also from a percussion instrument, pungcholam. Flutes, vertical flutes is not used in classical music. So flutes which are not reeded instruments, they are simple hollow pipes. Important fact to remember here is the vertical flutes is not used in classical music. It is only the horizontal which are used in classical music. The second one is the Nageshwaram. Okay, normally a North-South Indian instrument. Then it is the harmonium. Harmonium is essentially a Western Western musical instrument incorporated in India in the 19th century, and this is a wind instrument. The wind is blown from here, then it is played. There are 42 white and black keys associated with the harmonium. Okay, and this harmonium is one of the instruments which is actually criticized of not producing final shrutis, and it is normally accompanied with the North Indian classical music, that is the Hindustani classical music. The last one, our instruments were the Ghanavad, and these Ghanavads are very simple, like sibyls, like manjira and all, what we use in Kirtan and during the temple festivals. So this is all about the Indian music and Indian musical instruments. So from next time when you see any form of singing, any particular instrument, you should be in a position to identify and give some important informations related to that instrument and the music form. Thanks for watching.